The Kansas City Chiefs are flat out better without one of the best players in the entire NFL. After struggling at times last season and coming up short in the playoffs, the Chiefs moved on from Tyreek Hill, arguably our game's best receiver, and actually got better. Patrick Mahomes' stats have jumped to where now he's gonna win MVP, the offense's efficiency numbers have jumped as well across the board, and the team is firmly locked into the 1 seed. Tyreek is still one of the most devastatingly vicious threats in the league. His play hasn't in any way fallen off. So how in the hell could the Chiefs' offense actually have improved? The answer is complex, but can be summed up into 3 different categories. The Chiefs have increased their explosive pass percentage by about 30%, raised their heavy personnel usage, and have drastically boosted their red zone scoring percentage. But before we look at this year's improvements, we need to go back in time and identify what wasn't so good with Tyreek Hill. His electric game-changing speed feasted on 1 high safety defenses, which means the defensive coverages have just 1 deep safety in the middle of the field, making it easier for offenses, specifically the Chiefs, to win vertically. 1 high safety defenses allowed Tyreek to A, run fades outside with just one-on-one coverage, since the 1 high safety couldn't get over the top of his route from the middle of the field, and B, run deep crossers over the middle that allowed him to either run straight through the heart of the defense, but while cutting under that safety, or run away from man coverage one-on-one, also cutting under the safety. He could not be stopped. But then in 2021, defenses finally adjusted. 2 high safety defensive coverages took over the NFL, putting a cap on his speed. With defenses keeping that second safety deep, Tyreek couldn't dominate the game with outside fades because of the second safety giving help, and couldn't run the deep crossers because there was that other guy just waiting right for him. His average depth of target dropped 2.5 yards to just 10.4, and the Chiefs had to change how they used him. Because he was their best player, and because his game was all about speed, they still had to feed him the ball, just in much different circumstances. They moved him almost exclusively underneath, which capped the potential of their offense, since they still had to run things through him. Forcing the ball to just 1 or 2 players limits the ceiling of the offense, especially when their best asset is taken away, also limits the quarterback. So before we get into how the Chiefs broke through that ceiling this year, I want to thank this week's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. They are a fantasy football app that I'm extremely excited to work with since I've been using them anyway for the last several years. Their games that I've been playing the most recently is their pick'em games, where you select 2 to 5 players and bet their over-under stat for that game. You pick 5 and win, that is 20 times your entry in just one night. You can choose any game as long as it's on the slate. I'll take DK Metcalf's under, then pair that with Brock Purdy's unparalleled ability to feed CMC. Eckler, J-Jeff, you come too. Whatever combo you want, you choose any and make your pick. Make 5 picks to 20x your money. I'm feeling good about these, so I'm throwing 100 for $2,000. As long as you choose any player in the slate, you can play whatever and whoever you want. It's easy, it's simple, you can win a lot of money. Use my promo code Rollins to get a match deposit of up to $100. So you put in 100, it instantly turns into 200. That's promo code Rollins. So back to the Chiefs and their 2022 glow-up. Their offense went from being centered around Tyreek to being put all on Mahomes. Instead of forcing the ball to one guy in one part of the field repeatedly, the Chiefs shifted towards running everything completely through Pat by using more concepts and reading out each receiver rather than designing tons of plays just for one player. Last year, his explosive pass percentage, which is plays of 20+ yards, fell to a career low 8.8, but this year it shot all the way up to 11.3. He's achieved this by distributing the ball and finding whoever the best receiver is within the play design, no matter who it is, or where they are on the field. An example of this is when he reads the weak safety in these 2 high structures to determine where he should throw. If the safety tries to dive down to create a 3/2 advantage, Mahomes can attack the deeper post, and if he hangs back to protect the post, Mahomes can just play pitch and catch underneath. Now the Chiefs are letting him identify where on the field is the best place to attack, which allows him to play optimally. He can get the ball where it needs to be on the field, so again he reads the weak safety, and since he's not diving down immediately to help on some of the quicker hitting stuff, Mahomes can just pick and pick and pick away underneath and consistently gain small chunks until he takes a bigger bite. Even though he still has Kelsey, who is still incredible. He isn't staring him down and just throwing to him come hell or high water. He's getting to his third, fourth, and fifth progression to find the weakness in the defense and then capitalizes. This leads to everybody getting involved, and now when you have diversified skill talent, where each receiver brings something a little different to the table, you don't have to rely on just one guy getting open. Here is Kelsey, and here is the weak safety in the too high safety structure. If Hufanga sits down to add help to Kelsey who just burned them, Mahomes has MVS's 4.37 speed running a post filling that exact space. Hufanga either has to help on the corner route from Kelsey or the post from MVS. When Mahomes sees him just make this little movement towards Trav, he unleashes the post and delivers the ball exactly where it needs to be. Yes, MVS is extremely valuable to what they do, but not as much as Tyreek, where all eyes were always on him. If you send extra help over to Valdes-Scantling, Mahomes will just go somewhere else with the ball. You can keep running him deep over and over to take the top off the defense, and if he's covered, it's okay. But then when you slip up, he'll take you down. Against another too high coverage, 4 deep quarters, the Chiefs have a quarters beater called Mills, which is a dig and post. When the weak safety sits again, Mahomes knows he just has to check Hufanga, and when he gets wrapped up with his assignment, Mecole Hardman screaming across his face on the dig, like deep crosser thing, MVS comes wide open for the bomb up the middle. Another reason they've become more explosive is because of their huge increase in diverse personnel groupings. Last year they used 11 personnel, which is 3 wide receivers, a back, and tight ends, the 8th most in the league, but now this year they use it the 24th most. They've replaced their 3rd wide receiver with a 2nd tight end, the 3rd most in the league, and even have used 3 tight end sets, the 4th most. Putting bigger bodies on the field and going under center more has helped their run game pick up more yards per carry and higher expected points added, but also has created explosive passing plays more often, like we talked about, because defenses are more unsure of what they're gonna do. When you put 3 tight ends on the field, that screams to the defense you're gonna run the ball with the heavier bodies. When the Chiefs put their 2 speed threats in their only wide receiver on the field, Justin Watson, and then Travis Kelce to just one side, the Raiders call quarter, half, where these 2 defenders have quarters deep, and then this safety has a deep half, like in cover 2, with this corner in the flat. They put the quarter side to the speed to get 2 defenders deep to guard against the faster receivers. However, when the Chiefs motion Watson across, the Raiders don't have an audible or check to adjust to the new formation, and with the play fake, Mahomes connects deep for the explosive play. I'm just saying, if Tyreek was the one motioning across there, you're damn sure the Raiders would have played this a little different. The Chiefs' explosive plays have ticked up, and a big part of that is because of their diverse personnel groupings, but none of that matters if you can't score in the red zone, which last year, they couldn't score in the red zone. Just a 59.4% touchdown rate when they got inside the opponent's 20, good for 17th. Well, this year that's jumped 10 percentage points all the way to 3rd. Last year, Tyreek had 23 red zone targets, whereas no other receiver had more than 15. But this year, the main differences are Kelsey commanding 29 targets with 10 touchdowns, and also, surprisingly, 10 running back receiving touchdowns compared to just 2 last year. They've been able to find better matchups in this area because they aren't forcing the ball to Tyreek and are able to use more of their diverse personnel packages. Here they're in 13 personnel again with 3 tight ends, a back, and receiver, and when they jet motion Mecole Hardman across the formation, the Cardinals are worried he'll come wide open against man since Marco Wilson can't run through the clutter, so they switch their safety onto him and have Wilson zone off. With all this commotion, Mahomes can just choose the best matchup, and knowing he has Jody Fortson on Jalen Thompson, Fortson is 5 inches taller, Pat just flips the ball up there and lets his guy make a play. Then later in the game, when they get back to the low red zone, they use Hardman again to go in jet motion, but this time throw it to the flat. Now the Cardinals do use their cornerback to follow Hardman all the way over, not wanting to again vacate the middle of the field in case Kelsey or someone else crosses through the middle. And with each receiver viable, it makes it that much harder to defend. The 2022 Kansas City Chiefs are playing at a level we haven't seen in years. They are 5th in terms of offensive expected points added, or EPA per drive, behind the likes of the 07 Patriots, 04 Colts, and 2011 Saints and Packers. Shockingly, by getting rid of arguably their best player, they've gotten way better. When defenses go into the week trying to eliminate a certain guy, now they can't because everything is so spread out. Nobody on this team cares if they get 1 or 2 targets in a game as long as they win. Well, Tyreek said that's the very reason he left last year when he had just a couple of low-target games. The Chiefs have become much more explosive and have varied their personnel groupings to keep defenses off guard and have drastically improved in the red zone due to that diversity. Instead of featuring Tyreek Hill, now they're featuring Patrick Mahomes. And as we head into the playoffs with the Chiefs the 1 seed, this offense is the scariest it's ever been.